Section 1. The Illusion of Death. A scientific philosophical exposé from mortal fear to quantum awakening. The cultural conditioning of mortality. From the moment we are born, we are taught that death is inevitable. It is presented as the final punctuation mark in the story of life, a full stop beyond which lies uncertainty, darkness, or, at best, an afterlife promised by faith. This belief is so deeply embedded that we seldom question it. But what if this very belief is a socially constructed illusion, passed down not through truth but through tradition? Across cultures, death has been ritualized, glorified, feared, and mystified. We have built entire religions, economic systems, and emotional responses around it. Funerals, tombs, death taxes, inheritance laws, and grieving cycles all emerge from a deeply embedded assumption that death is final, irreversible, and natural. Yet cultures like ancient India, Egypt, Tibet, and Mayan civilizations hinted at something radically different. Their texts, rituals, and sciences subtly or explicitly stated that death was not the end but a shift, a doorway into new consciousness. In the Vedas, the term mrityu, death, is used not just to signify the end of life, but the transition point of energy. In ancient Greece, philosophers like Pythagoras and Plato suggested the soul outlives the body. Today, with modern scientific tools, we are beginning to revalidate these ancient intuitions. Neuroscience of perception and memory of death. Neuroscience has increasingly shown that death is experienced in the brain long before the body stops functioning, and sometimes long after. In fact, the moment of clinical death does not necessarily mean an immediate halt in consciousness. Near-death experiences, NDEs, out-of-body experiences, OBEs, and reports from individuals revived after cardiac arrest suggest a persistent awareness. Scientific studies show that even after the heart stops, the brain may continue to exhibit coherent electrical activity for several minutes. Researchers at the University of Michigan, in a groundbreaking study on rats, observed a surge of synchronized brain activity moments after cardiac arrest, a state similar to heightened consciousness. But the most shocking implication is this: the brain may not be programmed for death. It is programmed for memory, pattern recognition, self-preservation, and neural plasticity. In fact, death may not be encoded in the neurons. It is coded in belief, perception, and systemic collapse triggered by other factors. The limbic system, responsible for emotion and survival instinct, collaborates with the prefrontal cortex to simulate threats, including mortality. But what if death is just a simulation the brain has accepted as real, even though no part of the brain truly understands what it means to die? Cellular immortality, telomeres, DNA, and anti-aging science. At the cellular level, death is not mandatory. Certain types of cells, such as stem cells and cancer cells, exhibit what's called replicative immortality. This is due to telomeres, the protective ends of chromosomes, which usually shorten over time, leading to cellular aging. But science has shown that with an enzyme called telomerase, we can lengthen telomeres, reverse aging, and delay cellular death. This introduces a profound shift in perspective. If death can be postponed indefinitely at the cellular level, then aging and dying are not destiny. They are diseases of degeneration that can be treated, repaired, or reversed. Genetic editing through CRISPR, mitochondrial therapy, and nanomedicine have opened new frontiers where cell rejuvenation, tissue regeneration, and organ reconstruction are now possible. Biologists and longevity researchers are already suggesting that the first person to live 150 years may already be alive. This defies the traditional biological clock and begins to support what ancient texts claimed centuries ago: that death is curable. The vagus nerve, pineal gland, and the illusion of finality. Let us now turn inward, to the human nervous system, especially to its secret corridors that have long fascinated yogis and mystics. The vagus nerve, which runs from the brainstem to the abdomen, is the main channel of the parasympathetic nervous system, responsible for calming, regulating breath, heart rate, and even immune response. Stimulating the vagus nerve through chanting, deep breathing, humming, and meditation has shown to increase longevity, reduce inflammation, and promote mental clarity. In the ancient Indian system of Swarvigyan, The control of breath through the nostrils was directly tied to health, immunity, and lifespan regulation. This aligns surprisingly well with the modern scientific understanding of the vagus nerve. Now enter the pineal gland, often called the third eye or the Ajna chakra in yogic tradition. This tiny gland produces melatonin, regulating sleep-wake cycles, and also secretes DMT, dimethyltryptamine, a compound believed to be connected with lucid dreaming, near-death experiences, and spiritual awakenings. What's fascinating is this: DMT surges during moments of birth and death. Why would the body produce a compound to enhance awareness if death were truly an end? Could it be that death is merely the brain switching realities, crossing over dimensions, not ending function? The pineal gland, according to both ancient yogis and contemporary researchers, acts as a quantum gateway, a bridge between form and formlessness. Death, then, is not destruction. It is migration. Quantum biology, energy fields that don't die. Modern physics tells us that energy cannot be destroyed. It can only change form. This is not poetry. It's the first law of thermodynamics. When applied to the human body, this means the moment the body dies, its energy signature does not vanish. The biophotons in the cells, the electromagnetic frequencies of the brain and heart, the vibrational patterns of the DNA, all continue, albeit transformed. Quantum biology suggests that the body is not just a mechanical structure. It's a field of vibrations, entangled particles, and information. Scientists like Dr. Fritz Albert Popp have shown that living cells emit light, biophotons, and that this light carries information and memory. When the body dies, these fields continue to interact with the universe. Now consider this. In quantum entanglement, two particles separated by great distances remain connected. If you affect one, the other reacts instantly. What if your soul is entangled with the universe? What if death is just the collapse of one waveform and the emergence of another? Just as a wave never truly dies in the ocean but is absorbed into the larger whole, your consciousness does not vanish. It reconfigures. Ancient civilizations and the defiance of death. Across the ancient world, wisdom traditions have consistently described death as a veil, not a wall. From the Egyptian Book of the Dead to the Tibetan Bardo Thodol, from Bhagavad Gita to the Katha Upanishad, death is seen as a phase of soul migration, not an annihilation. The Egyptians practiced mummification not just for ritual, but from a belief that the soul would return. The Tibetans trained monks in Phawa, the art of conscious death. In India, yogis entered samadhi, leaving the body willingly after illuminating the mind. The Mayan calendar mapped timelines of reincarnation, linking cosmic shifts to human lifespans. These weren't superstitions. They were attempts to decode a truth science is only now beginning to grasp. That death is not the end of life. It is a reorganization of consciousness. Closing reflection. For Section 1. The illusion of death has persisted because we have been afraid to question it. But with the convergence of neuroscience, quantum physics, cellular biology, and ancient wisdom, we are now entering a new era, an age where death will not be feared but understood. Not as the enemy of life, but as a false diagnosis, a disease caused by misunderstanding energy, time, and self. The soul does not perish. The body does not end. It recycles. And consciousness? It never left. Death as a programmable disease, the science of transcendence. Rewriting the end, biology, belief, and the blueprint of immortality, epigenetics, and the death code. The central dogma of biology once stated that DNA was fate. But that dogma has been shattered by the discovery of epigenetics, the science of how genes are expressed or silenced based on external and internal factors, such as diet, stress, thoughts, and environment. While we are born with a certain genetic blueprint, it is not the code, but the software that governs our destiny. Death, too, is written not just in genes, but in how those genes are interpreted. The genes responsible for aging, inflammation, immune response, and decay can be turned on or off. In other words, the death code is programmable. In experiments with mice, activating or silencing just one gene like P16INK4A, associated with aging, dramatically altered lifespan. In humans, positive lifestyle changes have been shown to reverse gene expression related to disease and decay in less than 90 days. This raises the revolutionary question: if aging and death are consequences of gene regulation, not genetic fate, then is mortality merely a choice encoded by habit, environment, and consciousness? We are not dying because we are meant to. We are dying because our cellular software is running outdated programs. The role of belief systems and collective programming. Our minds do not operate in isolation. They function as transmitters and receivers of collective cultural programming. What we believe about life, death, pain, and destiny is not simply learned from personal experience. It is absorbed from societal consensus. In psychology, the placebo effect is a powerful demonstration of how belief can override biology. People given sugar pills often heal faster, feel better, and outperform those given actual drugs, if they believe in the cure. The nocebo effect is the opposite. Belief in harm can cause real biological damage. If belief can reverse illness, could it also reverse death programming? In yogic philosophy, this was never a question. It was a fact. Belief creates reality. The more you believe in aging and death, the more your body complies. The more you believe in transcendence, healing, and vitality, the more your body adapts. We have been culturally programmed to die around 70 or 80 years. What if we were programmed to live 200? Or never die at all, but simply transition at will? The body follows belief like a servant follows the king. What kind of king is ruling your biology? Mind-body neuroplasticity. Can we think ourselves to immortality? Neuroplasticity, the ability of the brain to rewire itself, is perhaps the greatest key to escaping death as a fixed event. Your brain is not a hard drive. It is a living interface, capable of remodeling itself based on experience, thought, emotion, and intention. This has been proven in stroke survivors who retrain undamaged regions of the brain to take over lost functions. It's seen in trauma recovery, where the brain learns new safety signals. It's even observed in meditators whose brains show physical changes in areas related to attention, compassion, and even aging. But here's the radical insight. If the brain can learn anything, it can also unlearn death. In deep meditation, the body enters a hypometabolic state where cell repair accelerates, aging slows, and consciousness expands. Yogis in India, monks in Tibet, shamans in the Amazon, all reach altered brain states that suspend the rules of decay. Neuroscientists have observed individuals with decades of meditative practice who display younger biological markers, improved telomerase activity, and reduced stress hormones. In theory, immortality is not a physical achievement. It is a neurological achievement. It requires a deep embodied retraining of how we process time, memory, and energy. And the tool is already within us, the conscious mind. Ancient Indian thought, Mritu as a curable condition. The Mahabharata, Bhagavad Gita, and Upanishads are rich with the theme that death is neither absolute nor natural. In the Katha Upanishad, young Nachiketa meets Yama, the Lord of Death, and asks the ultimate question: what happens after death? Yama answers not with fear, but with liberation. The soul, Atman, is beyond birth and death, and those who realize their true self are untouched by mortality. In Ayurveda, diseases are classified into two categories: sadhya, curable; asadhya, incurable. But death was not always listed as a sadhya. In yogic and tantric texts, death is the byproduct of imbalance, not the culmination of life. Yogis practiced Kayakalpa, a rejuvenation technique to reverse aging. Siddhas of South India, like Bogar and Agastya, were believed to have achieved deathless states through inner alchemy, transforming the elements within the body and mastering breath, intention, and awareness. Even the Vedic deity Mrityunjaya, literally conqueror of death, suggests death was not feared but overcome. When we say death is a disease, we are echoing the Indian philosophical vision that life is eternal and death is a deviation caused by ignorance of the self. Meditation, circadian rhythms, and reversal of aging. Modern research is finally catching up with ancient practices. One of the most crucial discoveries in longevity science is the importance of circadian rhythms, the 24-hour biological clock that governs sleep, hormone release, cell regeneration, and immune function. Disruption in circadian rhythm is now linked to cancer, diabetes, neurological decay, and early death. But guess what regulates the circadian rhythm most efficiently? Meditation, sunlight, sleep, breath. The very tools used by sages and monks for millennia. Morning sun exposure boosts serotonin, later converted to melatonin. Deep breathing synchronizes heart rate variability and brainwave cycles. Meditation restores parasympathetic dominance and reduces oxidative stress. These effects are not abstract. They are cellular-level rejuvenators. When practiced regularly, they slow biological aging, boost telomerase, and regenerate mitochondria, the cell's powerhouse. The takeaway is profound. If you master your rhythm, you master your biology. If you master your biology, you delay or transcend death. Artificial intelligence, consciousness upload, and deathlessness. In the age of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and neural interfaces, the human mind is no longer bound to carbon-based biology. Visionaries like Ray Kurzweil, Elon Musk, and the founders of Neuralink and OpenAI believe that consciousness could eventually be uploaded, simulated, or extended through digital or quantum systems. This is not science fiction. It is becoming technological probability. Brain-computer interfaces already allow people to control robotic limbs using thoughts. Memory prosthetics are being developed to simulate hippocampal function. AI systems can map neural patterns and emotional signatures. If this trajectory continues, the brain's data, identity, and perhaps soul pattern could one day be transferred to non-decaying substrates. This presents a paradoxical convergence. Ancient yogis sought immortality through inner evolution, while modern scientists seek it through technological extension. Both aim to escape decay and achieve transcendence. Could the meeting of AI and consciousness be the next step in curing the disease of death? Could the future of healing involve quantum intelligence, digital soul mapping, and biological enhancement? It seems we are moving not just toward longer life, but toward the end of death as we know it. Closing reflection for Section 2. We now stand on the threshold of one of humanity's greatest awakenings. That death is not a fixed endpoint, but a collapsible variable in a programmable system. Whether through epigenetic reprogramming, belief alteration, meditative mastery, or AI evolution, the message is the same. We are not meant to die. We are meant to evolve. Death is not nature's punishment. It is a forgotten part of our programming, a virus in the system that can be debugged by knowledge, spirit, and conscious intervention. The soul is not subject to expiration. The body is not beyond repair, and the mind is more powerful than matter.